Hey everybody, welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We have a third-party transforming figure unboxing and review coming your way. This time around we're going to be taking a look at the Magic Square 2-pack of MS-B49 Spider Gear and MS-B50 Energy. So this is their take on Legends Scaled Gears and Windcharger. Now, I literally just picked this up out of my mailbox. It is January 28th, 2023, and I'm super excited to bring this to you. I've been looking forward to these guys showing up. I picked this pack up from Shozy Store, and it just arrived today. I've already taken all the protective packaging from the international shipping off, but I do want to show you a couple things real quick before we get into the box. And that is that with Shozy Store, you do get these labels right here, which is awesome. And then you also get your, I don't know if you call it a collector's card if you want, Grimlock. And then on the back, it's just got stuff about their after-sales service. So just kind of cool that those things come in the box as well. But what we'll do now is we will go ahead and we'll take a look at the box itself, and then we will get this unsealed and we will get a good look at these guys. So I've got to say that I absolutely adore what Magic Square does with their boxes. I mean, this is so G1 reminiscent, and I love it. So up top you have Magic Square, extraterrestrial mechanical life form, changes from civilian vehicle to robot. Warnings. You have B49 and B50. Let's take a moment and admire that artwork. All right. Over here, you've got Spider Gear, Magic Square. Back here, you have some alt mode artwork, and then there you go. If you want to pause that and take a look. Over here, you have energy. Down here, you have warnings. You do have the sad baby. So it's always good to see the sad baby. Thank you for joining us today. All right, so that is it for the outside of the box. Let's get these guys opened up. I'm really looking forward to seeing what these guys look like. Oh yeah, so let's go ahead and look at Windcharger first, or Energy. So there he is. Looks pretty nice. And oh, he's going to go down. That's okay. And let's look at Gears, or in this case, Spider Gears. Yeah, he looks cool. I like it. All right, so now that we've got those guys completely out of the box, we'll get everything set up and we'll go through all the details of everything that they came with. Behold, laid out here before you is everything that came inside that packaging with these two guys. And we're going to start right here in the middle. This is your instruction sheet for the transformation for both figures. Pretty well done. Still a little confusing in spots, so it needs a little bit of work there. And then the next thing that we'll take a look at are the bio cards. And we're going to start over here with Energy, aka Windcharger. And we'll look at that artwork right there. It looks pretty good. Very G1-esque. Like it very much. On the back, there are your tech specs if you care to pause and read those. And then over here you have Spider Gears, aka Gears, or Spider Gear. And same thing, G1 look, and the artwork is pretty darn good on there. Back here are those tech specs if you care to read them. And we're going to keep going with Gear because he's the one who has more accessories than Windcharger or Energy over here. I think he kind of got the short end of the stick when it came to accessories. But let's go ahead and we're going to start with, we'll start with the face. I was going to start with the weapon, but we'll start with the face. So he does come with a spare face, and it's a very happy smiley face. Now, I will tell you, changing faces on this character, on this figure, is not fun. I don't like it. I feel like I'm going to either hurt the figure or hurt myself trying to change it out, but we'll get to that momentarily. And next up, let's take a look at his pistol. So it is just a blue plastic pistol. Not a lot of detail on there. Now it does fold, and I have to tell you, I'm not entirely sure why. I don't know if this is for weapon storage. If it is, I can't figure it out. So I'll keep digging into it. But as of right now, I'm not entirely sure what to do with this thing just because it folds. But it looks okay. And then finally, you have his little welding torch. This is really cool. I do very much like that. So you just swap this off. It's just got this post right there. You take a hand off, you put the welding torch on, and then you're good to go. And that's what it looks like. So just nice silver, little bit of detail on it. But yeah, very well done. All right, so moving on, let's take a look at Windcharger or Energy's pistol, his only accessory. He's just got a little noisy cricket going on over here. So slightly different color. I don't think it's painted. I think it's just molded in this color, but it looks pretty good. Not a whole lot to talk about though. And as you would expect for the pistols, you just put them in their hands, just plug them in, and that's it. All right, so that's everything that came inside the box except for these two guys. So what we'll do is we'll get Gears, Spider Gear out of the way, and we will focus on Energy, aka Charger, first. Here he is, one of the two bots that we've been waiting to see. This is the Magic Square Energy, their take on a Legends Scaled Windcharger. So let's go ahead and bring him in and take a look at those details. And for a little guy, I think both he and his cohort are pretty detailed. I'll take a look at that face right there. Looks pretty darn good. Now, he doesn't come with any other faces. This is the only one he has, so I hope you're happy with it. And taking a look at that chest. Not a lot going on there, but plenty of room for an Autobot symbol if you want to put one on. And then coming down to that crotch and those legs. Everything comes together pretty well. Take a look at the inside of the legs. No real hollow areas to speak of. I mean, if you want to say that that slider right there is a hollow area, I mean, I guess you could. But he comes together pretty well. Doesn't really look like he has anything as far as feet go, but if you enact the tilt, the ankle tilt, then you can see that he does indeed have a separate foot there. And then coming over here to the side, let's lift his arm up out of the way. There is that side profile. I'll just get myself out of the way. There you go. So you can see that he is solid through and through, which is nice. You cannot see through him. He does have a bit of that backpack right there. And it's not awful, but it moves really easily. It doesn't lock in anywhere, so that can be a bit of annoyance. Yeah, those legs come together pretty well back there, or down there. And then everything looking good right there. Looking up underneath those arms, he's a little hollow right up there, but that's hardly noticeable. The arms themselves are not incredibly detailed, but they have a little bit of sculpt work in them. And then his little tiny fists. You can make out those individual fingers. Now, looking to the backside here, he is hollow, but that's because for transformation they fold in like that. All right, now coming around, giving you that back profile view. He does have a bit of a hollow look to him in the bottoms of those legs. That is okay. I'm not too concerned about it. Everything else looks really good. I mean, for a Legend scaled figure, for something that's just, 3 inches tall, well done. Bravo, absolutely. So yeah, there he is from the back. You can see that ball joint in his head. And then he's got that backpack, and then back here you've got those slightly hollow areas right there. But nothing too bad. So yeah, I think as far as details go, for a figure this size, he's done pretty darn well. So let's go ahead and jump into the articulation for this guy. And even though this head is on a ball joint, you don't really get any side-to-side head tilt. You do get plenty of up, so you could bring it all the way back like that. So either he's flying or he's lying prone, maybe like a sniper type of position, something like that. And then, of course, you can do the full 360. It is a tight ball joint, so you can do a full 360 there. Coming down here to the shoulders, your point of rotation is right here. So you can bring those shoulders up that high, and then you can go all the way around if you want to do so. And then you do have 90 degrees of elbow bend, maybe just a bit over, and then full bicep rotation, so you can go all the way around if you want to. These hands are on really tight ball joints as well, as far as rotation goes. It gives you the ability with those hands, if you want, you can bring them up that far, you can bring them down that far, and then you can tilt those hands all the way around. So you've got full rotation on those hands if you want to use it. Coming on down to the waist, this is kind of one of those magic square specialties, if you will. You have waist rotation where he can go all the way around, and then you do have one heck of an ab crunch. So you got 90 degrees of ab crunch right there. This is part of his transformation, or you use this for his transformation, but it's absolutely something you can lock him in, and he can just, hello, little human. I don't know. I don't do imitations, but there you go. So yeah, awesome to see that ab crunch. Down here at the hips, you're going to want to get these little hip skirts out of the way. He doesn't have the greatest splits in the world as far as figures go, but he does have a little bit. and it's just difficult getting those. That's the one disadvantage of these little guys, is if you don't have fingernails, it's really difficult to get in there anywhere. So, but yeah, you can take those splits out that far. So not quite a full split, but pretty close. And then those hip skirts, they will move with the figure itself. I'm trying to get that backpack back up where it belongs. This backpack will move a lot on you as you're handling the figure. It may not for others, but it does for me. Forward kick is pretty significant. You can get one heck of a good forward kick out of this guy. Back kick is non-existent. It's just not going to happen. That's all you're going to get. All right. As far as knee bend goes, you have double jointed knees, so you can get a nice deep knee bend right there. And then you do have thigh rotation, so you can take it, I believe, out about that far. I started to get nervous beyond that, and then in about that far. So enough of a range to get him in some pretty good poses. And then we already talked about that ankle tilt, so you can get ankle tilt out about that far. And then you do have, let me bring him back here and show you, you do have a heel spur. So you can bring that heel spur out like that. And it is a nice tight heel spur, so you can bring both of those out. And let me try this. I've never tried this before. It's, during the middle of the review, it's always a good time. So yeah, you can get him in a dance move. Why not? You can totally do that. It's looking good. Okay. So yeah, articulation is pretty good for this figure. You're not going to get any that side-to-side tilt, and you're not going to get any back kick, but everything else I think is going to be quite satisfying as far as the positioning goes for this guy. So let's go ahead and talk about his accessory now. Since there's not much to say about it, you take the pistol and you plug it in, and would you look at that? I mean, would you? Oh my gosh, he's shooting a pistol. There you go. There's the accessory conversation. So yeah, it's a cool accessory, but it's only one. Like I said, spider gear definitely gets the advantage here. But I do very much enjoy this little figure. I think he looks pretty good. So what we'll do now is we're going to go ahead and get him transformed into his alt mode. And after we get him into his alt mode, we'll put spider gear into his alt mode, and then we'll just do well, let me back up. We're going to get him into his alt mode, then we're going to switch over and talk about everything on spider gear. Once we get spider gear into his alt mode, then we will get into alt mode comparisons and just do both of them at the same time. So let's go ahead and get started on the transformation for Energy, aka Windcharger. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take these arms and rotate them 180 degrees at the bicep and just straighten them out. So you've got something like that. We'll do the same thing over here to this side. We got those straightened out. Now you're going to take those arms, you're going to raise them up like this, and then you're going to take the body and bend the body at the waist. And then that kind of got ahead of what I wanted to do, but this thing moves all the time anyway. So then you're going to take this backpack and you're going to move that backpack back, and it's going to give you just enough clearance because you're going to take these two flaps right here that you can see right here on the sides, and you're going to open those up. So just get your finger in there and bring those flaps out so they're like that. Do the same thing over here, bring that out, and then you've got a couple of hinges here, so you're actually going to take those up and bring them up like this. So you've got a shape something like that, and now you're just going to raise this up. You've got a hinge right here. You're just going to raise this up a little bit just so you've got clearance, and then you're going to rotate this assembly 180 degrees, and then you're going to bring it back down. Once you bring it back down, this is a little tricky, not really bad, but it's a little tricky. Get your cab or the upper part of the car out of the way, because now you're going to take these arms and you're going to swing these in. And you're going to make sure that you stay bent up here close to the head. So talking about it is actually harder than just doing it. Basically, you're just going to take your two fingers, or your finger and your thumb, and you're going to squeeze together right there. And then you can see how it lines up right there with the car. And then bring your hood down. And so you've got these little dovetail patterns right here. So you've got the female part here and then the male part right in there. You're going to line that up and give that a push. And then you have these slots and tabs, and you're going to see those pop through the hood as well. So then you essentially have the front of the car completed. Now I'm going to take my tool here. I do use tools on this just because some parts are so small. I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to gently push those fists up and out of the way. So get that fist a little bit crooked. Take those fists and gently push it up out of the way. I'm going to have to twist it a little bit. So open all this back up again. Open that arm. Make sure your fist is straight. And no, you can't flip these fists up beforehand, and I'll show you why. So if you have the fist flipped up, you can see how that's a little too tall. So when you try to bring these arms in, you're not going to be able to make it. You're not going to have your clearance there. So you have to have that fist down in order to close that all the way up. And then once you seal all this, then you can use your tool or your fingers if your fingers are smaller and flip those fists up so they're like that inside. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take that waist. We're going to rotate the waist 180 degrees. I'm going to proactively push my hip skirts in. And you'll notice these hip skirts do have little slots in them. All right. So then I'm going to come down here to the legs. It doesn't matter which leg you start with. We're going to do the same thing on each one, but give them a little bit of a spread here. You're going to take this, you're going to take this outer flap right there. You're going to open that up. While you're here, you've got another smaller flap. You can kind of see it right there. It looks like a jigsaw puzzle piece. And you're going to open that flap up like that. And after you've done that, you're going to take this back hatch portion and you're going to rotate that around. After you push this heel down, you have your heel spur, push your heel spur down, make sure you've got the clearance, and then you're going to rotate this hatch around so it's positioned like that. And then you have this little panel right here. You're going to flip that in 90 degrees. That makes the back of the car. And then what you can do is it's on a slider right here, so then you can slide that forward. As you slide that forward, you've got this clearance right here, so you have I'll use my tool to point it out. You have a tab and a slot right there. So the entire goal here is to get those lined up so it's easier to slide that leg forward. All right, so we're going to repeat the process over here. Open this up. Open this panel right there. Close your heel. Swing this piece in. Flip this panel 90 degrees. And I'm going to close this up. Oops. Close this up a little bit right there. And then I'm going to swing this, or slide that forward. Now you have a tab and a slot you can see right there. Now I'm going to push those together. And then I'm going to bring all this forward, and you can see you've got a couple little tabs right there that are going to correspond to little slots in there. Line those up, give those a push, and then line up your little jigsaw puzzle pieces on each side. Give those a squeeze, and you'll be all set. So just give everything one last squeeze. And there you have Energy, aka Windcharger, in his alt mode. And now that we have Energy in his alt mode, let's go ahead and turn our attention toward Spider Gear, aka Gears, and look at his details and all of the good things that he has to offer. So let's go ahead and bring him in for his close-up, and you can see he does have that traditional G1 Gears head shape, and this is his stoic face, so looks pretty good. And there's that chest. Not a lot of sculpt work here, but all this detail. He is very G1 cartoon accurate. Very much so. And coming down to those legs. Legs look good. Everything's filled in nicely. So just looks good from every angle. Between the two, this is definitely my favorite figure between Energy and Spider Gears. Spider Gear here is my favorite, no doubt. And coming around to the side, legs look good. And he is solid all the way through, so outstanding job there as well. And taking a look at those arms, not a lot to talk about here. Plastic feels good, everything looks good, no real hollow areas at all to speak of. He's got those nice black fists. And here's his side profile. Looks pretty darn good. I mean, he does have a bit of a backpack for that engine cab, or for that truck cab, but really comes together quite nicely, actually. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and take a look at that back view of him. Same situation here. I think he looks quite nice. He does have some hollow areas in the back of his head, and he's not quite filled out in this leg area, but the transformation down here is actually pretty ingenious. So I don't have any issues with that. Besides, you're going to really be looking at him from the front anyway. And he does have these nice panels right back here to cover up the backs of those forearms, which is integral to the transformation. So yeah, looks pretty good from every angle. Now as far as articulation goes, the only thing you get in the head is turning left and right. You don't get any up and down or side to side. It is what it is. Would have been nice to have had it, but you're not really going to miss it, I don't think. And as far as the shoulders go, so you have a point of rotation right here, so you can bring those shoulders up and down on this joint, and then you also have this ball joint right here, so you can get up that high when you combine both of them, go all the way around a full 360. At the elbow, on a single joint, you get over 90 degrees, and then you do have bicep rotation all the way around. You have wrist rotation that you can use as well. And coming down here to the waist, just like Energy and just like most Magic Square figures, you get waist rotation, and then you also get one heck of a nice ab crunch. I mean, you can get him way down there, and he holds it pretty well, so you can have him looking down saying, hey, what's going on? So very well done there. Coming down to the hips, you don't have a lot here. I mean, you get good splits, but you're not going to get a full Van Damme. I don't really want to push him much further than this. Well, I guess you can get a full split out of him. Just makes me a little nervous because they're kind of tight. So you can get a full split right there. And then kicking forward, he can do a high kick. So for a little guy who looks kind of stoic, you can get a nice high kick out of him. You can definitely get a This Is Sparta kind of kick going. And kicking backward is, you know. All right. And then as far as the knee bend, you get a nice deep knee bend. You're limited by the fact that his wheel hits the back of his leg, but you do have double joints right there, so very well done. Ankle tilt, you get full 90 degrees of ankle tilt on there. Nothing at the toe, but you do get this heel spur back here. The heel spur has just very limited movement, so you're not going to get a lot. There is a little bit there, though, if you need to kind of counterbalance him. If he's starting to get a little heavy in the back, you can have just a little bit to counterbalance him there. But he is pretty stable as far as figures go. He can hold poses really well. So I have no issues there. Details look great. Articulation, really missing it in the head. Maybe a little bit in that back kick. But other than that, everything is great. Now, as far as his accessories go, he does have his blue pistol. And it does fold, and I still don't know why. If someone in the comments has any thoughts there, I've done some research. I cannot figure out for the life of me if it's for weapon storage, if there's something that I'm totally missing. But yeah, you guessed it, for the pistol. If I can hold his fist still, there we go. And yeah, bang, bang, bang. Yeah, I guess if he wanted to do a trick shot, he could shoot like that or shoot around corners. I don't know. Whatever you wanted to do. So yeah, you can definitely use the pistol. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that he's holding his pistol right now. That's going to help me with this next part. I'm just going to rip his fist right out. And then you have his little welding torch. So you get that little peg right there, and you can plug his little welding torch in and have him attacking people with it. If you want to. And then you do have his face, the other face right there, kind of a happy face. I said it earlier, and I mean it. There's no good way to get the faces off. This is probably my biggest frustration. It is really just a matter of pulling and yanking and twisting and kind of half transforming him. I've had better luck with this face falling off in the middle of transformation than I have had success in just getting it off when I want to, getting it off intentionally. So I don't like using my tool because I don't want to mar this up. Even with a plastic tool, I would be a little concerned about marring it up. But take my word, because I don't want to damage my figure, the face does come off. It is just this. It's just a press fit on the back. Whoa, where are you going? So it does just have that little tab right back there. So there's nothing magical to it. If he would have had a pass-through back here, that would have been really nice, where I could have, you know, taken my tool and just pushed from the backside to push his face off. But yeah, it's a little worrisome for me. I don't want to mar my figure up, so you're just going to have to use your imagination on that face swap. Now, if we get lucky during the transformation portion of this, if his face falls off like it's done to me before, we'll swap those faces. But as it stands right now, we're not going to. All right, so he does have one more feature. This isn't an accessory, but it is a feature, and as far as I'm concerned, it kind of goes with his welding torch. So his chest does open up, and you have the tiniest little bit of a gap right there that you could use if you have a fingernail and you can grab under there and pull it up. Again, I don't want to use my tool to do it, so there is a trick. If you just open him up, so if I can actually get a hold of this guy, and if you open him up, you have a little pass-through right there, which is what I would love that they would have for the face. I can use my tool on the backside, and I can push on that little pass-through right there. Give that a little bit of a pop. Doing it on camera, it's a little tricky. And then come back over here, and voila, that chest is popped up. So now I'll close him back up. At least for now, we'll close him back up. And then, boom, let's lift that chest open. And then look at that. Look at all that detail that you have in there. How cool is that? And then he could be, I don't know, doing some maintenance on himself. You know, turn that around the right way and, you know, reaching in, bzz, bzz, doing something like that. Or, you know, if he needed to be doing some work on energy, like, here, let me fix that for you. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Something like that. Whatever you want to do. So, really cool that they added that. I like that. So there you go. Get a close-up of it. All right, there you go. So that is the details and the articulation and all the good stuff for Spider Gear. So let's go ahead and get him transformed into his truck mode as well. Before we begin the transformation, you may have noticed that I did swap the welding torch back out for his hand. This is kind of necessary, so either remove the hands or have only the hands on when you're getting ready to transform Spider Gear into his truck mode, because you're going to need to tuck these away up inside the cab, and if you've got that welding torch on, it's not going to fit. All right, so that being said, let's go ahead and get started with that transformation. So you actually are going to take these hands, you're going to rotate those hands 180 degrees, then you're going to rotate at the bicep, the arm, 180 degrees. And then what I'm going to do right here, so you've got this little panel. This is kind of a cheat that I do. I'm going to raise that arm up, so kind of a backwards bend. I'm going to bring that back down, and that's going to give me that gap that I need right there. And I'm going to grab this panel, and I'm going to pop that panel out. So it's like that. So we're going to use this slot. This is going to be necessary for tucking these arms away. So to have this slot exposed and to have this open area right here because of the way these panels fold away. So it's just easier to get them now than it is to get them later. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to rotate that hand 180 degrees, rotate the arm 180, and then I'm going to bend that arm, and then I'm going to bend it back, and then I'm going to grab that panel. I'm going to pop that panel out, and then I've got my arms ready to go. All right, now I'm going to explode his upper body. In order to do that, you're just going to grab the cab, and you're going to lift that up, and then this head is sitting on two hinges, so as you lift him up, you can lift it up again, and then you're going to expand him out like that. All right, once you've expanded him out like this, you're going to start turning these arms inward like this. And these are a really tight fit, so they're going to rub up against each other. Your goal here is to just get the arms in. Oh, there we go. Your goal here is to just get the arms in and make sure that you've got them down enough that you can access these panels right here and open these panels up. So these are actually the doors to the truck. So you're going to explode these out so they're completely out of your way. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take these arms and you're going to rotate these arms up and just get them up there like this. Uh-oh, there goes my little panel. And get those arms up there. Don't you go anywhere. I know you're a tight fit. I told you not to go anywhere. Don't be a butt. There we go. And get those up so they're like that. All right, now you're going to bring these pieces out And then if you look right in here, you can see the grill of the vehicle. So you're going to grab those panels and pull those out, and they come out at a 90-degree angle like that. All right. Now, once you've got all that, now our goal is going to be to pop this cab up. So you've got all this stuff out of your way. One thing that does help is once you have the arms here, if you shove them at the shoulders, so they're sitting on those two joints. So if you shove these at the shoulders, that gives you the ability, give these a little bit of a bend right there. That gives you the ability to get up behind this head enough to grab this cab and pop that cab open. So you want to be able to open that cab up right there. And then once you've got the cab open, then you take this piece right here, you're going to swing that piece out. This is going to be the hood of the vehicle. So again, small pieces, big fingers, sometimes a little bit of a pain. You're going to unfold those 180 degrees like that. And then you've made the hood. And now you are going to, he's kind of exploded, that's why I'm laughing. Now you're going to take that cab, bring that cab back down. You're going to start getting these arms in position, so make sure that those are open about like that. I want to show you this, and I'm going to use my tool to point this out. You have this tab right there that's going to correspond to this slot and this slot when those arms fold up inside of there. So that's what your goal here is. So you're going to bring that grill forward. So swinging those basically, so you're turning them into the truck. So you're going to swing those out like that. And then your hood, you can kind of see where this is going. You're going to take those grill pieces and you're going to bring those together. And then you're going to close your hood in those slots. Make sure everything lines up right. There we go. There we are. That's better. And then you're going to snap your cab into place right here, so your cab will snap right in there. And once your cab snaps into place, those little flaps are kind of annoying. You can take your arms and you're going to, I'm going to do this one at a time, try to give you the best possible view here. So you're going to fold these in, and I hope the light gets in there, because you want the flap to be underneath. There's your tab. You want the flap to be, this flap to be under, so it's going to slide in there, and then the slot is going to go right where that tab is. So fold that arm in and give that a push. And I'm going to try and get this arm out of the way so I can show you what I'm talking about. See how that's configured in there? So your little flap is down under there, and then you're tabbed in right into that slot. So, and this annoying little hand flipped around on me. So get your hand back in the right orientation. There we go. That's better. And then get all your stuff lined up again and give that a shove. And then it should sit like that. All right, we're going to do the same thing over here. Now, this isn't as bad as what I'm making it out to be. I'm just going slow and step by step here. So once you actually get the fluid motion down, this really isn't too bad. It's just a matter of trying to go slowly and step by step for the transformation here on video. So do the same thing, push that in, and then you've got those arms tucked away nicely. Give everything just a little shove. They should line up pretty well. Now, when we fold this part of the body into the chest right there, you can see those arms should rest right into that recessed area. So that's your goal right there. If you get all that to sit nicely, then you're in good shape. Okay? But for now, we're going to leave this as it is. We're going to turn our attention down here to the lower body. So we're going to take that waist, we're going to rotate that waist 180 degrees, and then we're going to start working on these legs. So coming back here to the back side of those legs, we're going to take these wheels. I'm just going to grab the wheel right here. I'm going to grab the leg, and I'm going to give this a pull, and it's going to explode that out just like that. All right. And then you've got another hinge right here. So as I pull that leg, it's going to expand all of it out like that. Now I'm going to take this flap right here. I'm going to rotate that outwards. I'm going to push that heel spur in, And then I've got another little panel right here. I'm going to fold that in. Once I do that, I'm going to take this flap, or this panel, and I'm going to open that up. All right. Now I'm going to take at the knee, right here at this point, I'm going to take that, I'm going to rotate that 180 degrees. All right. So now we're going to do this leg. Grab this, pull these apart, flip that panel out, close that heel spur, flip that panel in, take this little panel right here and flip that out and rotate this 180 degrees. All right, so now one last thing to do, take this little crotch piece right here and you're going to flip that down. You could do that now, you could do it later, just don't forget to do it. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to collapse this in. That's going to sit in right there. This crotch area is on a slider like that. So you're just going to slide that in so it's sitting right there. And then you're going to fold these. Sorry for that edit. I just needed to get out a quick cough and I didn't want to cough in your ear. So now we're going to fold those legs. So you've got this folded in and then you're going to bring that up and bring this down. You have, one crucial step that I forgot. Pull these legs out right there. All right, sorry about that. So now we're going to fold that down, fold this in, and then you can see you have a slot right there. It's going to correspond to these tabs on either side right there. So get all that so it's configured as such. And then you're about ready to go for this side. So let's go ahead and do this side. I'm going to pull on that leg and open that slider up right there. And then we're going to give that a bend. And then we're going to do that. So now you have a tab or a peg and a port. You can just tab both of those together. And then you can line up your slots and your tabs up here and give those a push. And make sure that you've got everything lined up. You should have something that looks like that. And now you can swing your wheels or the rear of the truck together, and then you've got that dovetail design right there. Do the same thing over here. Make sure you have these pushed in. It should be flush and flat in the back. Swing those in like that, and then use your hands, use your fingers, give those a squeeze, and squeeze those right into place. And now your last step is to just close those little door panels up. So you've got the same thing. You got these little dovetails right there. So bring that one down, bring this one down, give both of those a squeeze. One final squeeze on everything else, and you have Spider Gear in his alt mode. And there we have Spider Gear and Energy in their alt modes, and I really like these little alt modes. I think they've done such a good job here. Very reminiscent of their G1 counterparts, really similar size to their G1 counterparts, but they just look so good and they feel so good in the hand. I really like what they've done with these alt modes, and I just wanted to throw them on the turntable here just to give you a few 360s with no distractions and no obstructions. But yeah, they do look really, really good. So what we'll do now is we'll just take them one at a time and kind of look at their details individually. And then what we'll do is we'll just do comparisons with both of them at the same time, just so you can see how they scale up to some other things. But let's go ahead and get that turntable out of the way, and then we'll look at the details on Energy, aka Windcharger. Let's go ahead and bring Energy in and take a look at his details. And for a little guy, he is pretty well packed with details. I do like it. So we'll start up here with that grill. Looks good. I do like the paint. And then you've just got that subtle gray on the bottom near that air dam area. A little bit of an outline for some headlights there. And then coming up to the side. Looks pretty good. I mean, he is panel liney. Just from the way he comes together, but it blends together pretty well. I don't get too bothered by the dovetails in here. But he's got those nice blue windows, and then he's got that fastback kind of look. The hinges are gray. I kind of squint and pretend they're turn signals, so I don't think they're awful. And then you do have a couple of little sculpted areas for tail lights or brake lights back there. And then again, kind of pretend that's a license plate back there. And then coming around to this side, which looks just like the other side, Here he is from the top. You can see he does have little T-tops in there. So again, reminiscent of that G1 Windcharger. The T-tops should be black, but I'm not picking. But yeah, so there he is from the top. And there he is from the bottom. Everything compacts up pretty well. I think he comes together looking pretty good. You do have those offset tires, so the back tires are a wider stance than those front tires are to give him that sporty, mean kind of look, and they are bigger in the back than the front tires are. And you do have just the tiniest hint of tread on those. So very cool. He rolls nicely. So very well done. I do not see anywhere for weapon storage, nor did I see anything in the instructions regarding weapon storage. So you just kind of have to keep his weapon off to the side. But yeah, he's a good looking little dude. But let's go ahead and bring in Spider Gear, and let's talk about him as well. Also really good looking, so reminiscent of his G1 alt mode. Really like what they've done here. So starting up front, there's that grill. You have those nice silver headlights, red bumper, and then you've got just the tiniest tint here with that sculpt work of some other lights right on top of that hood. And then you have this same type of shape. You don't have the W like for the worn winch in there like you do on the G1, but that's all right. Still looks good. You got your little moon roof up there in blue. Coming around to the side, same deal. He's a little panely, but not distractingly so. And then you've got your area, your little your step rail right there. I almost forgot what it was called. And then coming around here, I think the legs do a great job of folding up, so you don't even really notice that they're legs. So job well done there. Tires and wheels look good. I do like that silver that they were using for the hub. And then coming around to the back, nothing really to talk about here. These are just the backs of the legs, but comes together, looks pretty good. Nothing real obvious. This side is just like the other. And here he is from the top. Looks good. Here he is from the bottom. He can always see where he's going. We did not get that face to fall out during transformation, so I guess that's a good thing that it didn't fall out, but sorry that it didn't fall out. Otherwise, I would have shown you how to swap those faces. But yeah, both of these guys look good. Same thing with this guy. I don't see anywhere in vehicle mode where we could do weapon storage. So, I mean, you could maybe try to tuck something away. I don't know. But I don't think there's anything by design here. You could almost get away with something like that, maybe. And, maybe not. Doesn't really fit. So, yeah, you're just going to have to put the weapons off to the side if you have them in alt mode. But yeah, they look really good. So there is Spider, and there is Energy. Both those guys look really good. So let's go ahead and get into those comparisons and see how these guys look against some other alt modes out there. For our first comparison, this is the Magic Square Collide. This is their version of Wild Rider. So you can see that, maybe not from this angle, you can see he's a little bit bigger than these guys, but of course they're supposed to be microbots, right? So if we turn Collide to his side, you can see he's pretty significantly larger and longer than these guys. Kind of give you an example like that. But there you go. That is a Magic Square to Magic Square comparison for you. Moving on to our next comparison, this is the War for Cybertron Earthrise Cliff Jumper. So I figured I'd bring him in because, hey, he was a microbot, right? And in this iteration, he was one of the smaller figures for the Siege line, and he's a red sports car. So there you go. But yeah, you can see from a head-on standpoint that he does have a significant size difference. And if I just set him right here next to Spider Gear, you can see how much larger he is. For our next comparison, I figured it would be nice to see the Microbots Legends Scale next to a mainline core class. So this is the core class Laserbeak. This was Laserbeak as we saw him when he was that mini Bumblebee version of himself in the Bayverse films. And we'll kind of give you that sideways view there as well so you can see what you're looking at size-wise. And for our final alt mode comparison, here we see both of these guys next to their OG inspirations. So this is G1 Gears, this is G1 Windcharger, and you can see from a size, color, style standpoint, all those similarities. We'll give you a couple different views here so you can see how those guys look, but this is kind of that three-quarter view coming at you. Here they all are driving away from us, but on a collision course with each other. Here we see Energy with Windcharger kind of head-to-head, give you a sense of that scale between the two. And here's Energy and Windcharger back to back. Here we see Spider Gear and Gears facing each other. And here they are back to back. Alright, that's it for the alt mode comparisons. Let's race into those transformations and get it back into their bot modes. Alright, Mr. Energy, it's time to get you back into your bot mode. So the first thing that you're going to want to do with this guy is pop his back wheels, pop his panels loose, if you will. So just give those a little bit of a tug right there, and then you're going to give this a little bit of a push. Helps if I do it on frame. And then give this a little bit of a pull. Now you've got those separated. So what you can do now is you can take these pieces right here and you can slide those back on their sliders and bring those back just like that. And do the same thing over here so you can see that little slider I'm talking about right there. Do the same thing over here. Give that a little bit of a slide and bring those back. Okay? And now we're going to take a look underneath here. We're going to take those little panels and flip those panels back out 90 degrees. And then you're going to take your fastback portion. If you want to bring these all the way out, give you a little bit more ability to spread those legs out, you can. So you're going to take your fastback portion and you're going to rotate that around 180 degrees. And then I'm going to use my helpful little tool here to get this heel spur out. So I'm just going to grab that and I'm going to pull it with my tool, and I'm going to bring that heel spur out just so it's out of my way. And now I can take this panel, this little panel right here, and push that little panel in and bring it down. Now you do have a slot right there that's going to correspond to a tab right there. So when you bring those together, you're going to give those a squeeze and you've got one leg done. So let's go ahead and do the same thing over here. Better view. I'm going to swing this around 180 degrees. Use my tool, get my heel out of there, and then flip this panel in and bring this down and give that a squeeze, and then I have two legs done. Alright, so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to bend him at the waist like that. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and rotate that waist 180 degrees, get it out of my way. Now I'm going to take my tool again, and I'm going to reach in here, and I'm going to get these little fists, and I'm going to bring those fists down so they're out of my way. That way they're facing completely clear, or facing that way, and they're completely clear of everything else that we need to do. So now I'm going to take my hood, give my hood a pull, and that's going to loosen all of this up. And now I can swing this arm assembly out. Make sure this comes with it. So swing that out right there, and come over here and swing this one out right there. You're going to lift this up just a little bit, rotate 180 degrees, bring it back down. And now the tricky part is you're going to get these little slots right there, and you're going to align them, or these little tabs, and then you're going to align them to these little slots right here. So you need to bring this down. Make sure that you're clearing his, what will eventually be his backpack. And move that out of your way. And then push that in, and you should have something that's nice and flush like that. So do the same thing over here. Bring this down. Keep that clear. Push that down and out of the way. Give that a squeeze. And then you're good to go. Take your hood, bring your hood down, and then take the rest of this backpack and just bring it up and let it rest right there. It doesn't lock in anywhere, so just wherever you like it, where it looks best. Bring these arms, you're going to rotate 180 degrees at those biceps and give him a little bend just so he looks natural. And do the same thing over there. And there you have Energy. Oh, don't fall over on me. What are you doing? We need to work on your heel spurs back here. Alright, we'll pop your heel spurs out a little bit, maybe. There we go. Okay. And there we have Energy, aka Windcharger, in his bot mode. Now let's go ahead and get Spider Gear transformed into his bot mode as well. So the first thing you're going to want to do is pop these little door panels right here. So just grab those, give them a pull. Pop those door panels out of your way, and then you can swing this section back like that. And then you can give those legs a little bit of a pull, bring all that back out on that slider, and then you can start to unfold these legs So you have something that looks like that, and give them a little bit of a yank right there and separate them out. So the first thing we're going to want to do is collapse these legs on that slider right there. So give those a push and make sure that you have those slid up properly. Give them a push right there. And now we're going to take this panel, we're going to flip this panel out, and then I'm going to use my tool. I'm going to get that heel spur out of there. And then I'm going to flip this panel in. Alright, once I flip that panel in, I'm going to turn my attention up here, and I'm going to flip this panel in. I'm going to rotate 180 degrees at the knee. I'm going to flip this out like that, and now I'm going to collapse all this into each other. And just give that a squeeze. Everything should fit just fine. If it doesn't fit, okay. If this does not fit fine, make sure you did your little slide. Okay, this is the one that's going to hang you up, because it's the one that hung me up a couple of times. So always check that slide if things don't fit right. All right, so let's go ahead and turn our attention to this leg. We'll do the same thing. We're going to flip that panel out. We're going to take our tool and get our heel spur out. We're going to flip this panel in. We're going to rotate 180 degrees. We're going to flip this panel in. We're going to bring this out. We're going to bring that leg together and give that a squeeze, and you should be all set. Okay, so you should have legs that look like that. While you're back here, go ahead and flip his butt flap up. And that butt flap is what keeps him from sliding up and down. All right, once you've got that, take your waist, rotate your waist 180 degrees. You have the lower body done. Let's focus on the upper body. So you're going to explode this, bring that up, just like that. I'm going to use my tool, and I'm going to get my hands out of there because they're a tight fit. There we go. Get those out of there. And the reason I'm taking my arms out right now is because I need to make room for this hood up underneath this cab. So you got to get your arms out of there so you've got the room that you need. So now you can take that cab and open that cab up, and then you can open your hood up. And now you're going to fold these flaps right here in like that. Then you're going to tuck this away, and you're going to close that cab back up. So it may have a little bit of resistance, but it's okay. And now you've got your hood folded away and all disappeared. So now take your grill, split your grill, come back over here so you can see everything. Swing this up. Remember that head is sitting, you've got a hinge here and a hinge here. So you're going to explode all that out like that. And then once you have that, your goal here is to get these arms out of the way so you can fold these panels in. So you're going to swing these arms down. Well, fold these panels in right now. Go ahead and do that. And then swing these arms down. And tight fit. Push those down. Push these wheels down. So your goal here is to have enough room to close these. Hopefully we do. Close those up. Brilliant. All right, so now we can take this entire assembly, arms and all, and spin this around 180 degrees. And do the same thing over here. Spin that around 180 degrees. I'm going to get those arms out of my way just to make sure I'm sitting pretty. So you should have something that looks approximately like that. And now we're about ready to fold him in. When we fold him in, you have these tabs right here that are going to go to these slots right here on either side. So start your folding process, fold that in, and make sure that those line up, give them a squeeze. And then it's kind of interesting, every time whenever I've transformed Spider Gear, I always have the head sticking up like that, but all it takes is just giving him a push like that, and then he sits flush again. I guess if you wanted to use that to have him looking up, why not? You know, that's something you can do. But anyway, make sure his head is like that. And then you're going to take those arms, you're going to rotate those arms 180 degrees, rotate the hands 180 degrees, rotate the arms 180, and, well, let's pretend that hand was like that. Rotate that hand 180 degrees, and then you have Spider Gear back in his... Ooh, wait. There you go. Now he's looking up at you. And now you have Spider Gear back in his bot mode. For our first bot mode comparison, here we see Spider Gear and Energy next to the Magic Square Collide. This is their take on that Stunticon Wild Rider. Moving on to our next comparison, this is the War for Cybertron Earthrise Cliff Jumper. Next up is the Core Class Laserbeak. And last but certainly not least, here we see Spider Gear and Energy next to their G1 counterparts. This is G1 Gears and G1 Windcharger. That's it for the robot mode comparisons. Let's go ahead and get into those final thoughts. So there you have the Magic Square 2-pack of MS-B49 Spider Gear and MS-B50 Energy, their take on those Legends Scaled Windchargers and G1 Gears. I gotta tell you, I really like this little 2-pack. I like these figures. I think what Magic Square is pumping out right now is some really good stuff. I'm really impressed by this. They're not perfect. They have their flaws. But I think overall they're a really good pack to pick up if you can do so. But let's go ahead and jump into it, and we'll start with the overall looks, the aesthetics first, and we'll focus on Energy, and then we'll go over to Spider. So starting with the aesthetics for Energy, I think he's pretty good. He definitely feels like the afterthought of this 2-pack, though. That's nothing against him. He just feels like the second child. The first child you love, you adore, you do everything for them. The second child, it's kind of old hat. That's kind of how he feels. He's really well done. He's just a bit plain. He's just not as exciting as the Spider Gear or that G1 Gears figure. He could have used in alt mode a little bit more paint, maybe some headlights, some tail lights, that kind of stuff. But in bot mode, both modes, he looks really good. I'm going to give him Energy an 8 out of 10. As far as Spider goes, for his overall looks, his aesthetics, he's top notch. I mean, this guy just looks good from every angle. You can tell that the care was put in to make him as G1 accurate as possible, and it shows. You know, he's got a little bit on the backside where maybe he's not the prettiest, but man, from the front in bot mode he looks great, and in vehicle mode he looks great. I have no complaints whatsoever. For a figure that is legend scaled at the price point that I picked him up, I really don't think it gets any better than this as far as the aesthetics go. So for Spider, I'm giving him a 10 out of 10 on aesthetics. Moving on to the articulation, for Energy, it's pretty well done. I've got a couple of little minor gripes. He's got some weird shoulders, and he doesn't have any back kick to speak of whatsoever. So kind of those poses you're going to be really limited. The shoulders are a little bit difficult to figure out, but he does have great heel spurs. They're nice and tight. You can get this guy in some sweet positions. Of course, we have to mention the waist rotation and that ab crunch that those Magic Square figures have. So very well done. I'm giving Energy 9 out of 10 on articulation. For Spider, he's not quite as well done as far as that articulation goes. He's got a big old head, and it shows. I mean, this head does not tilt. It doesn't go up. It doesn't go down. And he's limited at his feet. He's got big heel spurs that gives him that stability, but you can't bring those down if he tries to get a little back heavy on you. So he is limited there. And then, of course, he has that limited back kick as well. It's not as bad as Energy, but it's still pretty bad. So for Spider, I'm giving him an 8 out of 10 on articulation. Moving on to the accessories, focusing on Energy, what do you want to say? He comes with one pistol. It's kind of cool, looks good. I like the finish on it, but it's not very exciting. So he definitely drew the short end of the stick here and the accessories portion. So I'm just going to give Energy a 6 out of 10. Spider, on the other hand, came with an extra face. He's got that welding torch. He's got his gun that folds for some reason that I can't figure out. I don't know what to do with that. And although it's not an accessory, I am going to say the gimmick of being able to flip his chest up to make it look like he's working on himself, or to use that welding torch to work on others. It's very, very well done. So I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 on the accessories. Spider, a 9 out of 10 on accessories. Moving on to quality, starting with Energy. Overall quality is pretty good. Everything is nice and tight here. Everything fits the way that it should. Nothing really felt out of tolerance. So no major issues there. Really the biggest thing I could say, and it's more from a design standpoint, is that backpack is kind of floppy. It would have been nice if you could have locked that into place in bot mode, just as much as you have to handle that backpack when you're touching the figure. So I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 on overall quality. Turning our attention to Spider for overall quality, he did have a couple of other issues, and although I didn't touch on it on the review, there was some flash. You can kind of see it right up here by his head. There was some flash right there in the hood area, so when you opened that hood up in transformation to lock that hood down and put him into his alt mode, that flash was getting in my way, so I had to take a hobby knife and cut that flash away. So a little bit of mold flash there, not the biggest issue in the world. It was an easy fix, just kind of an annoyance, but also his waist, the rotation is loose. I mean, that waist will just spin around all day, and there's very little friction there, very little resistance. So it's easy to knock him out of a whack as far as posing goes. Also, this may be more of a design thing, but changing his faces absolutely scares the daylights out of me. I've only ever done it accidentally. Trying to do it purposefully, it scares me that I'm going to mar something up trying to get this face off and put the other face on. So I don't even try. I appreciate that they packed a face. I'm worried I'm going to hurt the figure trying to change those faces out. So for Spider, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 on overall quality. So bringing us to our last bullet, and this goes for both of these figures because they are a 2-pack. The last bullet is overall value. I think the value is here. I mean, these guys are the size of a core class, but you easily get 3, 4, 5 times the amount of attention to detail, the engineering, just the cleverness of the transformation, and just kind of that satisfaction and fun factor. There's a lot to be had here for these guys. So I think the value is very high on the plus side here for this 2-pack. So I picked this 2-pack up. This was a pre-order that I picked up from showzstore.com. I paid $54 US for that. And I think it was 100% worth it. I'm really happy with the purchase, so no complaints whatsoever there. On overall value, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, and the only reason I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 is just because with Show Z Store, it's shipping from China, shipping to North America. It takes a long time. It was like a month ago that these guys were... my order was shipped, and with international customs and everything else, it just took so long to get it. So it's the price you pay. You save a little bit of money as far as actual dollars, but you've got to wait a little bit longer to pick him up. So, but yeah, overall value 9 out of 10. So for our grand totals here, for Energy, out of a possible 50 points, Energy gets 41 out of 50, which puts him at 82%. Spider gets 44 out of 50, which puts him at 88%. Spider is definitely the better figure here. But I love the fact that these guys come in a 2-pack, and I just love these little remakes of those G1 Microbots. Love them. So obviously this is going to be a recommend from me. This is something that I really think if you are a fan of the Legends Scaled or any G1 bots, these guys are just going to be an awesome addition to your collection. So definitely worth picking up. So with that, that's going to wrap the review up. I hope you guys got some good information out of this. I hope you were entertained. And if you haven't already done so, of course, please be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Feel free to leave some comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. If anybody knows why that gun folds, I would love to hear the answer. So with that, one last thing. Please, if you know of anyone that would like our channel or would like this video, please feel free to share that with them. We love getting the word out. So with that, that's going to wrap it up. Until we see you guys in the next review, take care.